Alright, what up, guys? Oh damn, I'm real loud today. It's JC with Chasen, and Bobby's back with us today. We watched the fight together, and we're gonna go over it for you guys really quick. So let's get started. Jeff Neal versus Belal Muhammad.
So this was our fight on the early Fight Pass prelims. We had Jeff Neal, who executed great striking like we talked about this morning, and we actually saw some really good heart out of Belal Muhammad, and he took a lot of hard shots. He got dropped, I think, once, and he showed real toughness. And towards the end of the fight, Jeff Neal was kind of lulling him into like a brawl, because that's kind of Jeff Neal's style, I noticed. Like, he tries to let them think that they can hit him.
Yeah.
Because he's so good at distance control and striking that he can just control the fight. But yeah, I see a real big future for this guy, Jeff Neal. And for Belal Muhammad, he's still a solid fighter. I can see him getting fights still on the prelims and stuff like that. But Jeff Neal, I say look out for big things this year.
Yeah, definitely. I think a lot of the fights on this card, especially this card, at least I thought a lot of the fighters were really patient today rather than chasing for finishes like we usually often see. And I think that's because the sport's also evolving and everyone's just being a lot smarter when they're in the cage, not just trying to go for the finish right away.
So we'll move on to the next fight. We had Dennis Bermudez versus T. Edwards, and yeah, Dennis Bermudez really dominated. He showed that he has great wrestling, and T. Edwards has a lot of work to do in the octagon. He can't just coast off his punching power. Yeah,
definitely. Like I said from the last podcast as well, Dennis Bermudez really showed his experience, being able to get out of the early storm. And I thought he was in trouble earlier early in the fight when he got rocked with those two punches like really early. But yeah, like I said, he just showed his toughness and experience, and handled the fight.
Pretty much like every time the fight would stand up, I was worried for Bermudez. But also, it was really cool. Bermudez retired after the fight during his speech, and
I didn't see that.
Yeah, he got real emotional because he was on a 4-fight skid lose streak, and it was really good for him to come back and get this win, prove himself, and then
it's a good way to go out.
Yeah, he's out of the game.
All right, and on to the next one: Corey Sandhagen versus Mario Bautista. Corey Sandhagen's really showing a lot of really flashy attempts for the submissions, and I think he's just really comfortable when he is on the floor, so he can easily go for those submissions, and that's pretty much what we expected to see.
I think he had a lot of boost in confidence also coming in against Mario Bautista, being a short, like a quick replacement pretty much.
Yeah, and Mario Bautista having not fought in the UFC before, it's probably a little first time stage nervousness kind of thing.
Great submission by Corey Sandhagen overall. I mean, he seemed like he had a fair control of the fight.
Yeah, definitely. Even though he was pressuring, it didn't seem like he was getting too hasty. Just like with most of the fights on this card, I thought all the fighters just stayed really patient, and I really liked, even when they were in trouble.
Yeah.
And yeah, I thought that was really great.
Corey rocked him with the flying knee, and then just from then on, he just dominated on the ground and just chained from submission to submission, and he finished the fight.
Yeah, and I don't think Mario Bautista was able to really handle the range that Corey Sandhagen had on him that well either. When Corey was being aggressive, Mario didn't really have an answer for it.
Yeah, he's a really big bantamweight.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see more fights with him.
Definitely. And let's go on to the next one. Joanne Calderwood versus Ariane Lipski. So this was an interesting one. I thought that Lipski's footwork wasn't as good as I had usually seen in past footage that I had seen before. But Calderwood, one of the top 10s, obviously.
Lipski looked really choppy throughout the whole fight.
Yeah, she seemed really
stuttering, hesitating a lot.
She didn't flow as well as I had seen before. I don't know if she was nervous or the weight cut or something.
She was using a lot of the feint most of the fight, using her hands, brawling a lot. Because in the first round, she was taken down. Calderwood controlled the whole round on the ground and overwhelmed Lipsky, kind of.
Yeah, and she probably got a little nervous after that and felt like she had to really come out and win the last 2 rounds. And I also felt like her footwork was a little, it just seemed really hesitant. She wasn't as explosive with it.
Coming up against a bigger girl also, it was kind of hesitant for her also.
Yeah, I feel like with Lipsky, she was facing worse competition before, and she was so confident in her timing and her power that she really just stood in there.
Yeah, so she
And
could be
she
comfortable to just stand and bang.
And she wasn't ready for the wrestling category, like of somebody this good, pedigree.
Yeah.
Sorry, of somebody this good, so she got taken down at will, and she couldn't like get her strikes off because she was like stationary, like she got stuck.
It's the wrestler's era, man.
But she's young still, so we'll see what happens in the future.
Yeah.
And for Calderwood, it's a really big win.
Yeah, definitely against a great opponent in Lipsky, and she'll can't wait to see her next fight. She'll definitely get a better fight in the rankings. And we'll go on to the next one, the main card of the prelims, Cowboy versus Alexander Hernandez.
I think this was the fight of the night right here.
Oh, definitely. There's definitely a reason they put this fight on the prelims instead of the main card. So yeah, definitely glad Hernandez, got his lesson taught to him really quick.
Yeah, he came into the fight really talking a lot of shit to Don Cerrone. Every moment he got, he would be able to just disrespect him in the weigh-ins, press conferences, and whatnot. So it was just good to see him get put in place. Stay in your lane, kid.
Yeah, and Cerrone, man, even coming down to 155 after already being at 170 for a while, how he was able to, well, in the beginning of the fight, as he usually does, he comes out a little looking really uncomfortable and kind of nervous, but as the fight went on, he got really comfortable, got into his groove, and it's still amazing that he's still able to do that at this age and coming down a weight class too.
Yeah, it looked, honestly, when I was watching the fight and they first came out, Alexander Hernandez came out like a bat out of hell. He was the young guy. He thought he was just going to finish this old guy. And Donald didn't look good. It looked like the weight cut affected him. He was breathing hard. But Donald was able to slow down the pace, and he had better timing, and he just picked his shots. And then, like you were saying before we recorded, he kept ripping that body kick. And that's how he got the finish.
That was amazing, too. Yeah, in the second round, around the middle of the second round, he ripped the very, telegraphed, just very obvious body kicks. I'm sure he was just going to set up for the high kick because he ripped 3 body kicks within the span of, 30 seconds, and then the head kick came almost right after that. So, yeah, very intelligent fighting by Cowboy, and it just shows, the experience.
And the finishing instincts, because that was good ground and pound. He stayed in his position and a good volume of good strikes that were rocking Alexander's head back so the ref knows to get in to stop it.
Because it wasn't a complete stoppage when it happened.
Yeah, Cowboy put a really good fight up today. Or tonight.
Yeah, can't wait to see him go for the belt again. Should be amazing. And looks like he's back.
He has how many title defense or consecutive wins?
Consecutive wins. I don't know about consecutive, but he has the most most finishes. He has 16 finishes in the UFC.
Okay, I'm gonna look something up. Hold on.
But yeah, it looks like Cowboy's back into the rankings. Should be great to see him go for the belts. And we'll go on to the main card. Glover Teixeira versus Carl Robertson.
So I think this was Glover got the elbows to the head and basically went unconscious, and then came back and just
woke up by
wrestled him
elbow.
down and got on mount and put him in the head and arm choke, right?
Yeah. So that's why I really love Glover Teixeira, because he always brings a fight, even though he's getting damaged, he's getting hurt really bad. He'll still just walk towards you and put on the pressure, and it really worked out for him this time.
And it was really nice to see the 2 old guys come out on top, him and Donald.
Yeah, definitely.
They really showed their experience and their skill over the young guns that are more athletic and better
I feel like we
quickness.
saw that a lot today, just athleticism versus experience and just, knowledge
Yeah.
inside the octagon. And yeah, that's great. We'll go on to the next fight, Paige Van Zandt versus Rachel Ostovich. Yeah, so Paige Van Zandt was pretty much getting wrestled and taken down for the whole almost the first round and a half.
Yeah.
And then really good scramble. She stayed patient and didn't panic when she was on the bottom, even though she had her back taken a couple times. She just stayed calm, defended, and looked for the chance to get the submission.
Yeah, and I think that's the experience factor. I was tripping out today that she's 24 years old. I had no idea. She's been around fighting for at least 30,
Yeah, she's like Max
years.
Holloway. Yeah.
She's been around since she was young. And just a positive note, even though Rachel lost, she has amazing timing on her takedowns and strong and
Yeah,
good
she's
grappling.
very
Yeah,
good,
she's
strong.
a really good.
Mm-hmm.
I think she just needs to be in there more to
Yeah.
to gain the experience.
Yeah. Do you know if she tapped before that whole thing,
she tapped
arm
on
thing
the hip.
happened?
Yeah, she
And
tapped
then
on the
it
hip.
happened afterwards.
But yeah, so Rachel got put in a armbar by Paige Van Zandt, and
Mhm.
like you said earlier with the patience, Paige just waited, and then when the submission was there, she went for it.
Yeah, it was amazing. It's great to see fighters, having the patience, not just rushing things. So on to the next fight, Joseph Benavidez versus Dustin Ortiz. This fight again, we saw the experience of Benavidez. Well, Dustin Ortiz obviously a very experienced fighter as well, but I feel like Benavidez showed that he was able to handle the pace a lot better.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. And I think Benavidez, like in the beginning, the first round, he was catching Dustin Ortiz with that chopping calf kick. And right when he would step in.
So fast
and
with
you
it,
could
yeah.
see the mark on the calf.
Mhm.
So I think that probably jacked up Dustin's.
That was like 2 minutes into the fight too.
But
Yeah.
but like I was saying this morning, this fight was beautiful. Watching their grappling exchanges, and that's why I don't want to get rid of this division. Like these are two really good martial artists.
Yeah.
And like the way they would take each other's backs and like the whole
Mhm.
scrambles and everything, it was a great fight.
Yeah, they're just so agile, and they're just able to, able to pass and defend so easily. And yeah, it's a very, very great division. And we saw another great fight from this division as well in the main card.
And then Benavidez also got that really hard punch, the overhand, when Ortiz was moving backwards. He dropped him with it. And yeah, I think Benavidez is good for the division. Good timing. We talked about it this morning. Good timing, good wrestling, good boxing, everything.
Yeah, a 125 division is definitely not boring.
Yeah, it's a great division.
Yeah. So on to the next fight, Gregor Gillespie versus Yancy Medeiros.
And kind of called it. Could have seen what was going to happen with it. This guy Gillespie is the real deal. Strong grappler. You said when we were watching the fight, reminds you of Khabib. The way he's just like a leech. He just sticks to you.
Once he gets his arms around you and he gets that the hook in and he gets that lock in, there's almost no way to get him off.
Yeah. And for Yancy, I think it was just a bad fight for him to take. I think he's just like, he needs to make the right fights and figure out his whole attitude and everything.
Yeah, I was actually a little confused that he got this fight because he had lost the last fight against Cowboy.
Yeah, I think they were just moving him back to 55, and this guy's the who's and people know who Yancy is, so.
That's true.
Yeah.
So can't wait to see what Gillespie has for the future in the division. I think he's really gonna contend against the top guys.
So we'll move on to the co-main event. We had Greg Hardy. This one had a lot of hype. Fighting Alan Crowder at heavyweight. And it was the question of Greg Hardy's speed and power enough to get him the win.
Yeah, and it seemed like Alan Crowder, he took the shots early, and he stayed patient, and he took his time, and he was able to kind of work Greg Hardy until he wasn't able to really keep up anymore. And even around the time that when the fight ended, it seemed like Crowder was winning until that knee landed. And it didn't even really look like Greg Hardy knew that the knee was illegal because he jumped on him right afterwards.
Yeah, it was really unfortunate for Greg Hardy. And, I mean, the and for Crowder himself getting kneed in the head on the ground. But that's how the fight ended. Disqualification for Greg Hardy. Alan Crowder won the bout. Just hopefully now he learns at least.
Yeah, but definitely Greg Hardy, he's new to the scene and he has
Right.
a lot to learn.
Debut
But yeah, it's not his debut. I think
for the
he's
UFC.
Had, oh, UFC
Yeah.
debut. Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, he has a lot to learn in the game. So I think he has a lot to show later in the future.
Former
in the division.
NFL player Greg Hardy.
The Prince of War. We'll go on to the main card. Henry Cejudo versus TJ Dillashaw. Now, wasn't this one quite the shocker?
Main event ended quick for Henry Cejudo. Gets a big victory over TJ Dillashaw. 33 seconds. They were saying it's one of the, or Cejudo's fastest knockout.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I don't want to, assume Dillashaw had he was at a disadvantage because of the weight cut or anything, because I never want to just assume things like that.
But he wasn't out, so I mean, it definitely.
Yeah, it was
can't make that
definitely.
assumption.
It was an early stoppage as well. Like you saw right when before the ref even went in to stop it, Dillashaw was already standing back up.
Yeah.
But
he was pissed at the ref after. He was giving him some lip after
yeah,
that.
it was pushing him off him and everything. But Henry Cejudo, I thought, did show really great striking. His footwork when TJ came out and he threw the first punches, Henry Cejudo's footwork was really good. He stepped off to the side, slipped the punches, and then pulled back, and then waited for TJ to engage again, and then countered him, and then dropped him. So I think Henry Cejudo's striking is getting significantly better.
Yeah, so basically TJ Dillashaw sat on his right hand and Cejudo just pushed him to the ground.
Yeah.
And then the partially blocked head kick probably hit him in the chin as well. And then Cejudo followed him up. I like the finishing instinct. Caught him across the chin, caught him on the side of the head. So I can see why they stopped it. I don't agree with the stoppage, but I can see why they stopped it.
Yeah, because when he was getting back up, he hit him again.
Yeah.
And he went back down, but,
And like you said, I don't like to assume stuff, but who knows how TJ's feeling with that weight cut. He might be all weak because it looked
even during the weigh-ins.
It looked a little weird when he just got shoved to the ground.
Yeah. By a smaller guy.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I think it really could have been a great fight. I'm kind of disappointed, but at the same time, it is what it is,
Yeah, and oftentimes these fights that end so quickly call for rematches anyways, and I think if there is a rematch, TJ would obviously come out a lot more careful.
Yeah.
And not get caught early like that.
Definitely.
So yeah, that's it for the UFC card. We'll go on to the Pacquiao versus Broner fight. Bobby, you wanna get started on this?
So Pacquiao Broner fight, Mayweather Promotions co-promoted with PBC and Pacquiao Promotions. Good 12 rounds, dominated by Pacquiao pretty much. It was controversial to see who was going to be able to go in. Another showing tonight of experience to kind of a little more youth. Broner having a little more explosion, we would have thought, going up against an older guy like Pacquiao. Pacquiao getting the win, unanimous decision over Broner. I think all of them were like 117 to 111. Yeah. So good luck for Pacquiao. See what's next for him. Maybe Mayweather. He said that hopefully one more, or his wife hopes that one more fight and her husband will be his.
Yeah, it's also great to see the experienced fighters, how they follow up on their shots instead of just going for the 1-2 knockout kind of thing.
Right.
They'll keep walking towards you even after they've landed to land the combinations.
And every time that Pacquiao was going in, every time he would be on the offense, he would go in landing 3 or 4 punches, throwing a flurry of combinations and whatnot. Every time Broner
changing
would go
levels,
in.
going to the body a lot. You saw there was like 47 to 3 body shots or something like that. Yeah, and I thought we saw that a lot too. I thought Broner slowed down more around towards like the eighth round to
seventh
the
round,
end.
Broner was almost out. That was the round where he was hanging on to Pacquiao the last 30 seconds. Pacquiao had him basically out. The ref kept having to unclinch them, I think, 4 times in those 30 seconds.
Yeah.
So Broner got lucky.
Yeah, those body shots really did work.
Definitely. As for the undercard, not much. The
Except that one
Jack,
fight.
co-main event, Badu Jack against Brown. Badu Jack lost in a unanimous decision as well, and he has suffered a giant cut. It's ginormous, right in the middle.
That's the biggest one I've seen, honestly, in a fight ever.
It was due to a headbutt in the 9th round, I believe. Not positive on that. And from then, it just got way bigger. I think it started maybe like half an inch, and it grew to like almost 2 inches probably.
Yeah, it was so big. Every time he looked up and his eyes would go up, the cut would start opening up, and you could see all the insides and everything.
Yeah, and never in my life have I seen a referee covered in blood.
Oh, that was...
Yeah, because from breaking up
crazy.
the bout, he had blood up his whole sleeves and all over his chest.
Are doctors... like not responsible to come
the ref can stop the fight in the middle of the round and have the doctor check it, and every end of the round in the corner, the doctor is there making sure the fighter's okay, checking the cut and whatnot. But since the blood wasn't going directly into Badu Jack's eye and wasn't obstructing his vision and whatnot, he was allowing the fight to
because
continue.
It was right in the middle of the head.
Right.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and the only thing left to be concerned about is the amount of blood that the fighter's losing, but
which was quite
a lot,
quite a good amount.
But it was towards the end of the fight, so it would kind of be unfair to go to the scorecards after that, because before the 4th round it would be called a no decision and just like a draw basically, kind of.
So a lot of great fights today. There's a lot of great fights coming.
A lot of great fights this whole weekend. I mean, yesterday we had in New York
yesterday
also
too,
a little bit of war, just to touch up on Jorge Linares against Pablo Cesar Cano, a Venezuelan against a Mexican, and everyone thought that Linares was going to had the victory secured in the bag, but Cano came to show that it wasn't going to be so easy, and Cano fought right the day before the Canelo undercard in September. He fought the day before against a Kazakhstan kid also, and he had a severe cut also. Cano is very easily cut, and he suffered a big cut there that they thought was due to a punch, and they were going to stop the fight, and it was going to be just a disqualification for Cano pretty much, but they saw that it was an elbow that caused the cut, so they went to the scorecards, and Cano ended up winning the champion belt then, and then he went and defended the belt yesterday against Linares, going up in weight to 135, I believe, and Cano's a natural 135er, so he just showed him all the power that he had and knocked him down 3 times in the first round and stopped him in the 12 seconds with 12 seconds left. So it was very impressive for Cano. A lot to come for him. He's had a lot of wars against greats like Shane Mosley, Eric Morales, Paulie Malignaggi, and this one he said just ranked right up there with all of those great warriors and whatnot. So a lot to come for that champion.
Yeah, definitely a lot of great fights this weekend, a lot of great fights to come in 2019. So yeah, tune back in with us to Fairly Serious, and we'll be tuning out today. But tune back in on Monday for...
Not tomorrow or...
Tomorrow?
Well...
We should figure this out.
Yeah.
Just tune back in.
Tune back in.
Yeah, tune back in. We'll be coming out with a schedule soon. We still have to figure out our schedule because everyone's busy.
We should probably do Monday night. Are you guys good with Monday night? Yeah, we'll do Monday night.
All right.
Fairly Serious.
All right, tune back in on Monday night for Barely Serious. So yeah, the schedule for now tentatively will be Thursday before Wednesday before the fight cards, and Saturday night after the fight cards, and Monday night are our Barely Serious episodes where we just, kind of fuck
Bullshit.
around. So yeah, thanks for tuning in to Fairly Serious, and we'll see you guys next time.